DeMeco spoke to the media today for yet another press conference in which he was asked a bunch of questions that he's already fielded over the last couple of weeks because there's nothing but press conferences during the bye week and interviews. But some really good things, including how are the Texans going to handle the defensive line for the Seahawks, who had 7 sacks versus the Jags last week. They had, depending on which stat service you look at, between 25 to 45 pressures in the game. This is the important thing to know. Trevor Lawrence was pressured 50% of the time that he had the football, and the Seahawks did it with very little blitzing. They did it on the strength of their defensive linemen winning one-on-ones or with games, and I'll show you a couple here. Byron Murphy is one of those defensive linemen, and I know a lot of you Longhorns will appreciate this. Here's DeMeco asked about Byron Murphy, and I put some of his season highlights on here.
Byron is a really great player. I really like Byron coming out of Texas. He's a really stout player, but not just stout, big defensive tackle, right? He plays with explosiveness and quickness. I think that's what makes him a really good player. He runs sideline to sideline, so he's not just a one-trick player. Like, he can stop the run. He can be effective in the passing game as well. He does a good job executing the stunts. Him and Leonard Williams on the inside, they do a really good job playing off of each other. So there's no downs off with either one of those guys. We got to work. We know they're great players, and we got to outwork them.
Yeah, the interior offensive lineman, big challenge. And we know Ed Ingram's been playing great. The center, left guard, left tackle have shown improvement. This is a big test for them. And the Seahawks, as I said, they do it with a 4-man pass rush. They don't necessarily win super fast. They don't have a bunch of guys who are like Josh Hines-Allen. DeMarcus Lawrence being back for them last week was a big difference in stopping the run game. So that's the challenge this week. The two guys I'm excited about seeing are the two factors in this game that I'm really looking to see is the offensive line versus a very physical defensive front, and then C.J. Stroud in recognizing and diagnosing what Mike Macdonald is doing with his defense, because he runs a lot of sim blitzes, disguises coverages, makes zone look like man, and vice versa. And Trevor Lawrence was really confused by it last week. Trevor Lawrence had some opportunities that he just couldn't get to because of a combination of a pass rush, but with enough time and with like an eighth of a second more of recognition, I think he could have had some opportunities downfield. I want to show you one thing that the Seahawks will do that, a lot of teams in the NFL are doing right now. And we know that the Texans have struggled against it before, but just why it works. If you look to the left of your screen, you see 3 defensive linemen, and they've only got 1 defensive end over on our right side. One of those is a backer or a safety up the line of scrimmage. So they show you this overload front. And what it does is they only end up rushing 4 here, but if you watch those 3 guys on the left, by virtue of the 2 defensive tackles coming inside, you end up occupying those 3 interior linemen, and you get one-on-ones on the outside. So it's a way to kind of isolate some of your better pass rushers or your edge pass rushers without having to blitz. And it's really effective. The Texans have struggled against it. Part of it is that you just got to win your one-on-ones. But the other thing too is, and this is where it's frustrating. This is a golden opportunity, depending on down and distance, to run the ball, because you just look at how light they are on the right side of the offensive line. Obviously, in 3rd and long or something, it's not as easy. But go back to the Texans versus the Jaguars last year, when the Jaguars had that huge run that Kalen Bullock just stopped at the very last minute at the 1-yard line or so for the stop. That was a Texans overload look, and the Jaguars exploited it with the run. So there are weaknesses and there are things you can do with play calling, but it also starts with being able to effectively run the football. On the defensive side of the ball, DeMeco's asked about Sam Darnold.
Sam has done a great job this year of hitting his targets. A very explosive offense, one and foremost because he's able to deliver the football at all 3 levels of the football field. Right, does a really nice job of throwing the ball deep. JSN did a really nice job making plays on the football as well. So, and they protect it well. So he's done a good job of spreading the ball around, making good decisions with the football, and that's why he's been having a really good year.
I know. Look, people don't want to hear it. Sam Darnold's in the MVP conversation as of right now. It's early, and he's a new quarterback in a new scheme, but he's executing this scheme exactly the way he needs to. And it's not like it's a whole lot of risky throws or plays that have worked out for him. He's averaging 9.5 yards per attempt, which is by a long shot, I'm guessing. But if you end the season at 9.5 yards per attempt, that's absurd. But he's got the lowest turnover-worthy play rate in the league. They're not throwing the ball a whole bunch. Last week versus the Jaguars, they were 2 for 12 on third downs. But they're just, when they take their shots, they're taking them really intelligently, and they're setting it up with the run game. It's a big volume run game. The Seahawks run the ball a lot. They're not super lethal with it. But this is the thing that I think, and I really haven't heard people stress this as much. They're facing loaded boxes. Kenneth Murray is facing loaded. Geez, it's Kenneth Murray. I got Oklahoma stuck in my brain. Kenneth Walker is facing loaded boxes. The fifth highest rate in the league. So part of that's formation. They're dictating their formations, but guys are sucked up and they're playing the run, and then they're just getting the classic gashed in the back end. So just as a way of illustration, here's DeMeco talking about Jackson Smith and Jigba on the coaches show, and you just watch Jackson Smith and Jigba with Sam Darnold throwing him the ball and see just how lethal these two have been this year.
Everybody has to be in tune with where he is, like what routes he's running. We got to play aggressive versus him. We see a lot of people that have played him.
What are the highlights?
It hasn't.
Wait, wrong one.
It hasn't been tight.
Hold
they
on.
Haven't
Here
finished.
We go.
Everybody has to be in tune with where he is, like what routes he's running. We got to play aggressive versus him. We see a lot of people that have played him. Right? It hasn't been tight. They haven't finished on the play, so we just have to make him work. We know he's a great player. We have great players. It's going to be a very competitive matchup versus our corners versus him, and I'm excited to see our guys show up and compete versus him. I mean, the explosives that he's made, the big-time plays in critical situations, he's shown up. Hopefully CJ has a few secrets he can lend me.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. CJ, obviously a teammate of his from back at Ohio State. Just go show again. Talk about the play action working out. This play. I mean, look at the linebackers there. Everybody's sucked up, and it's just enough that they don't have the depth. They don't see him, and boom, all the linebackers just don't have enough to clutter up there. They've been doing it really effectively. This is DeMeco talking about the importance of eye discipline in a game like this with guys like a team that runs the play action so effectively.
This is a huge eye game for us, whether it's the eye discipline starting in the pass coverage, right, making sure we're exactly where we're supposed to be, and also in the run game. They do a really nice job making it look the same. So our second-level defenders, safeties, nickels, linebackers, they have to do a really nice job of really keying and diagnosing the plays. That's understanding what they're getting, understanding formations and setups so they can play fast, right? And then at the end of the day, whatever happens, you make the right decision and you got to go make the play. And that's been my message to our guys this week. Like, even if you know where they're going, you got to be able to make the play. And that's what this game is going to be about. Two good teams, competing, really good environment that we're going into. And it's going to be about which team makes the most plays.
Yeah, honestly, the cornerbacks versus Jackson Smith and Jigba and Cooper Kupp and everybody else. Darnold's been spreading it around real well. Jackson Smith and Jigba's number one receiver in the NFL right now. And the Derek Stingley, who practiced today and would seemingly, hopefully, be completely healthy, practicing on what's a normal Wednesday practice today on a Thursday because of the Monday night game. I don't know how much they'll track Jackson Smith and Jigba with Derek Stingley. Jackson Smith and Jigba can line up in the slot. He's been playing the majority on the outside. They signed Cooper Kupp, another slot receiver, and they said, okay, we'll just boot Jackson Smith and Jigba to the outside. That doesn't mean that he's always outside the numbers or anything, because these days, these wacky kids in the modern NFL, they got all kinds of variety of formations, and keeping track of where he is and how they assign everybody to their respective receivers. It's going to be a really interesting game of cat and mouse. I think that with DeMeco, one thing he said in that Jackson Smith and Jigba clip was that, hey, like a lot of teams have they've made it too easy for him. And to me, what I hear with that is when teams play zone, Jackson Smith and Jigba is going to find a way to get open. He's going to manipulate it, and you gotta plaster him. So I think it's going to be an aggressive mindset by the cornerbacks. I think Kamari Lassiter and Derek Stingley are like DeMeco's going to challenge them this week. So it's going to be a great battle from that regard. And we'll get into more some of the CJ challenges on it as we get to CJ's press conference later. This is just one more, just to slam the door shut on the eye discipline part. The Seahawks run the ball a lot, right? They want to show that they're committed to the run. Does that look like a run formation? My God, yes. If I'm a linebacker, I'm like, I'm not going to let these guys bulldoze me. And as it always happens in a Kubiakian, what do I used to call it? A Kubshanistani system. Look at the tight end over on the left side. And, everybody's sucked. Oh, there he just sneaks in behind him. And there you go. Touchdown. No big deal. Don't worry about him. We got to stop the run, not to mention all the backfield action they had going there. I'm getting increasingly excited for this game to the point where it might be enough to keep me awake until 9 p.m. freaking Central Time when it starts. I'll do CJ later tonight. Everybody like and subscribe if you haven't already, and hug your kids, okay? Oh, quick note. I will say that about Byron Murphy. Really impressive game last week, and Byron Murphy's had I believe a daughter or child. He had a newborn born 3 months early. She was like 2 pounds something, and so was going to the hospital during the week, and then went in and then turned in that performance he had last week. So a little bit of the human side of like, let's not remember to be such a douchebag all the time, Seth.